Welcome to NTD News Today. Here are today's top stories. 2 National Guard soldiers are in critical condition after being shot near the White House. President Trump and others call out the Biden administration over an Afghan settlement program with an Afghan suspect in custody who came in that way. What officials are saying about the investigation. The death toll from a massive fire at a residential complex in Hong Kong has risen to 75. What police are saying about the cause of one of the city's deadliest fires in decades. The weather could play spoil sport over the Thanksgiving holiday. Winter storms and snow. What the forecast looks like as the country gears up for one of the busiest holiday travel seasons on record. Buzz Lightyear, Pikachu, and other beloved characters are joining the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade today, kicking off the holiday season on the streets of Manhattan. We have more on this year's celebrations.
This is NTD News Today, live from our global headquarters in New York City.
Today's Thursday, November 27th. I'm Stephanie Cox. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you out there. To begin, we have an update on the D.C. shooting suspect. The CIA says the Afghan national accused of shooting 2 National Guard members previously served with a U.S.-backed military unit during the Afghanistan war. Here are FBI Director Kash Patel and U.S. Attorney for D.C. Jeanine Pirro briefing the media this morning.
As most families join together to give thanks for the blessings that have been bestowed upon them, 2 families are shattered and destroyed and torn apart as a result of the actions of one man. First and foremost, our hearts go out to the victims and their families. The suspect. He has been identified as Ramanullah Lakhanwal, a 29-year-old Afghan who entered the United States under Biden's Operation Allies Welcome, a program following the disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan. He resided in Bellingham, Washington, with his wife and, we believe, 5 children. And we're working very closely with our federal partners, especially DHS and the FBI, to review his immigration history and the vetting process itself. What we know about him is that he drove his vehicle across country from the state of Washington with the intended target of coming to our nation's capital.
The firearm and other materials have been sent to our Quantico laboratory already yesterday for immediate analysis. That work is ongoing. Partnering with the D.C. United States Attorney's Office, we have also executed multiple search warrants around the country to include the subject's last known residence, which is in the state of Washington. The search warrant was executed on that house last night or early this morning, and it is an ongoing process. All the individuals found in the house have been interviewed, and some interviews remain ongoing. We will not stop until we interview anyone and everyone associated. I also spoke to Director of the CIA, John Ratcliffe, last night, and Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth. There is confirmation now that the subject had a relationship in Afghanistan with partner forces. We are fully investigating that aspect of his background as well, to include any known associates that are either overseas or here in the United States of America. That is what a broad-based international terrorism investigation looks like.
In a statement, CIA Director John Ratcliffe said the suspect entered the United States in September 2021 after the Biden administration cited his past cooperation with U.S. agencies, including work with a CIA partner force in Kandahar. Ratcliffe said the suspect should never have been allowed into the country, adding that Americans are now dealing with what he called the consequences of the past administration's failures in Afghanistan. NTD's Daniel Monahan has more.
FBI Director Kash Patel called the attack a horrendous act of violence and vowed to use every available resource
to make sure we find and safeguard our nation's capital right here in Washington, D.C., and bring anyone responsible for this heinous act of violence to justice.
The Metropolitan Police say the incident unfolded at around 2:15 in the afternoon.
When a suspect came around the corner, raised his arm with a firearm and discharged it at the National Guard members.
Other Guard members were nearby.
They heard the gunfire. They actually were able to intervene and to kind of hold down the suspect after he had been shot on the ground until law enforcement got there within moments.
What we know, Andrea, is that this is a targeted shooting. One individual who appeared to target these guardsmen, that individual has been taken into custody.
National Guard members gathered in prayer outside the ER after the shooting. National Guard Bureau Chief Stephen Nordhaus reacted to the targeted attack.
SCA Raines and I join our entire National Guard family in praying for the recovery of 2 West Virginia National Guard heroes who were shot while protecting our nation's capital today.
President Trump addressed the nation after the shooting.
This heinous assault was an act of evil, an act of hatred, and an act of terror. It was a crime against our entire nation.
And vowed to leave no stone unturned.
We must now re-examine every single alien who has entered our country from Afghanistan under Biden, and we must take all necessary measures to ensure the removal of any alien from any country who does not belong here or add benefit to our country. If they can't love our country, we don't want them.
Trump expressed what he called his extraordinary gratitude to all members of the military deployed at home and abroad, and vowed a steely resolve.
America will never bend and never yield in the face of terror. And at the same time, we will not be deterred from the mission these service members were so nobly fulfilling.
The suspect is Ramanullah Lakamal. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem said he was among the Afghans mass paroled into the U.S. under Operation Allies Welcome in 2021. Noem criticized the program as having allowed in thousands of unvetted Afghan nationals, including terrorists. The Biden administration said the program was intended to support what it called vulnerable Afghans, including those who worked alongside the U.S. in Afghanistan.
Yesterday, I visited 3 sites that are part of Operation Allies Welcome, our unprecedented, historic effort to resettle in the United States tens of thousands of Afghan nationals.
Former Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas said the U.S. was duty-bound to offer them a home.
We have a moral imperative to protect them, to support those who have supported this nation.
Citizenship and Immigration Services stopped the processing of all immigration requests relating to Afghan nationals effective immediately. It said all activity will be suspended indefinitely, pending further review of security and vetting protocols. Daniel Monahan, NTD News.
Thank you, Daniel. And Attorney General Pam Bondi said the female National Guard member shot in D.C. volunteered specifically to serve on Thanksgiving. Here's Bondi speaking on Fox News this morning.
I'd like to add something about the young woman. She volunteered to be there on Thanksgiving, working today. She volunteered, as did many of those Guards, men and women, so other people could be home with their families. Yet now their families are in hospital rooms with them while they are fighting for their lives.
Bondi said the 2 injured National Guard members have undergone surgeries and are currently recovering in the hospital with their families. Bondi declined to comment on the conditions of those 2 soldiers, but urged the public to pray for them. She noted that charges against the suspected gunman will be based on the soldiers' condition. She added that if either of them should pass, the Department of Justice will seek the death penalty. And the Pentagon says it's ordering 500 more National Guard troops into Washington, D.C. following yesterday's shooting. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth says the deployment comes at President Trump's request.
In fact, this happened just steps away from the White House. It will not stand. And that's why President Trump has asked me, and I will ask the Secretary of the Army to the National Guard, to add 500 additional troops, National Guardsmen, to Washington, D.C. This will only stiffen our resolve to ensure that we make Washington, D.C. safe and beautiful.
And Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade has just concluded in New York City. This year marks the 99th edition of this beloved American celebration. Performers this year include singers Cynthia Erivo, Lainey Wilson, and Ciara, as well as stars from the hit Netflix movie K-pop Demon Hunters. Airvo kicked off the festivities with the song Feeling Good. This year's parade features 34 balloons and 28 floats. New floats include Buzz Lightyear from Toy Story, Nintendo's Super Mario, Pac-Man, and Labubu's The Collectible Dolls. That's trending this year. The annual event also drew 11 marching bands and 8,000 participants from across the nation. Here's more from people at the parade.
I couldn't be more excited to be here. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I'm doing it for the American people. This is my job. I feel very patriotic.
We needed a strong man.
I feel good. Thank you.
It's a very jam-packed performance. We have a lot of energy, a lot of facials. We're going to have so much fun.
You know, our job is to make everybody have a great day, and in the process, we have an amazing day.
Being happy, making others happy.
Absolutely. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
So excited, so happy to be here and thankful. Just be happy and be thankful for everything you have. You never know when it could be gone, and take everything and be happy.
Looking forward to the experience and just excited.
That's so great. So what goes into the costumes?
You know what? We show up in the morning and they just give us a costume. So a lot of layers, a lot of things going on, and it's just exciting.
Yeah, it's really unbelievable. I mean, the leadership of the parade, and I mean, we have a great captain this year, and she kind of keeps us in line and gets us excited. But I mean, just everyone around us kind of keeps each other moving. It's just a really great time.
That's really great. I've seen so much compassion. Like if someone gets hurt, the crowds are so thick, but people just clear away. What about the employees? How have they been able to work together through difficulties?
I mean, they work all year on this parade. I mean, it's not just, yes, it's one day kind of bunched up with all this stuff, but they work throughout the year, kind of getting everyone ready, even off-site trainings for the balloon handlers. Yeah.
That is very impressive. What are you thankful for?
My family. Very thankful for my family and just a great Thanksgiving. And it's my birthday, so. Yes.
Happy birthday.
Yep, thank you. I'm just glad everyone can come and enjoy the Thanksgiving day with us.
When you think about Thanksgiving, I have so much to be grateful for, so I wanted to bring a little bit of cheer to other people.
What have you seen, like, you know, other people's dedication or other people's compassion to each other?
So you know what? I heard a gentleman say he's been doing this for the last 23 years. This is my first year. And so just he was trying to give advice and feedback on what to do when you're walking on the parade. So in my opinion, I think it's just a good way to bring happiness to people. So I am feeling very excited, and I can't wait to hear the crowd and see all of the smiles and just feel excited about the day. Happy Thanksgiving. We have a lot to be thankful for, and we should all be kind to each other.
Lots of fun, laughter, bringing smiles to everyone, you know, that's out here watching us, and just taking in the New York moment. Yeah, we're all really thoughtful and absolutely. We celebrate if someone's having a birthday party, we sing happy birthday. If someone just visits from out of state, we make sure we go out of our way to like celebrate them, throw confetti to the children. We help one another. Someone stepped on my dress. They were helping me staple the train together. So yes, no. We're all here to help each other and have a great time. Oh, for sure. I used to watch the parade. When I was a little girl, I would come and see the parade with my aunt. I would take my picture with Santa at Macy's, and here I am, looking fabulous, volunteering. So I think it's a lasting impression, and again, it's just a great way to kick off the holiday.
This is the best, guys! I love this so much. Yeah! Yeah!
That's so cool. When did you wake up to get here?
Like 5 o'clock.
That's pretty early. You must really wanted to be here.
Yeah! Ah! The best thing ever.
I've been in New York City for 14 years. This is my first time at the Macy Day Parade, so it's just as exciting for me as for him. The marching bands is what does it for me.
The weather is okay, and look at the trees here, and we're so lucky.
Your hair matches the autumn leaves.
Oh, right. Yeah.
That's excellent. I mean, what you're seeing here is just real, raw happiness from all the kids and all the adults.
There's a smile all over the place. Even those guys, you know?
Great live look there from Kevin earlier this morning. Now, on this holiday morning, the nation's capital was also filled with a sea of people. Thousands got an early start at the 24th annual Turkey Trot. Runners and walkers told NTD their Thanksgiving messages. Take a look.
Happy Thanksgiving! We're so grateful to be a part of this community.
Happy Thanksgiving, love, family, city.
I just want to say happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Thank you to all the runners and walkers that are participating in this event for a really worthy cause, helping individuals with food and housing insecurity here in Sum. So we are grateful for everyone.
Well, I love looking around and thinking that everyone here represents a Thanksgiving meal for a family. It's really it's very heartwarming. It's very heartwarming.
Glory be to God, thanks be to God, and thanks to the wonderful people out here doing amazing things to end world hunger.
I'm just thankful everyone's happy and healthy and that we can all meet together and be together for the holiday.
Happy Thanksgiving!
Happy Thanksgiving!
Happy Thanksgiving!
You know, I think it's been a tough year for everybody, and it's important to, I guess, count our blessings and hopefully look to a better future.
Be thankful for what you have and take advantage of every moment.
My Thanksgiving message is there's never a time to not be grateful, and so yes, today is the holiday that sometimes people think around being thankful. Be thankful every single day, 365.
Happy Thanksgiving!
All right, and next, an eye on Memphis, Tennessee. Earlier this week, Attorney General Pam Bondi announcing more than 3,000 arrests and 120 child rescues as part of an operation in Memphis, the Trump administration's efforts to curb crime in the city. Joining us for insight is former law enforcement officer and trafficking investigator Dan Nash. Happy Thanksgiving. Dan, thank you so much for joining us today.
Happy Thanksgiving to you.
Now, first up, your response to the latest in Memphis.
I think it's fantastic work. I mean, from a trafficking perspective, we know that missing juveniles are super, super vulnerable to being trafficked. About 1 in 5 will be trafficked if they're missing. So the fact that we have found all these missing juveniles is fantastic news.
Right. And so what can those numbers, the arrests and rescues, all happening within 56 days, tell us about what's happening on the ground in Memphis?
Well, just like a lot of America, we have the best law enforcement in the world. As someone who has the opportunity to travel around the world and teach human trafficking, I'm amazed every time I travel to other places about how good our law enforcement is in the United States. Really, the gist of it is, do elected officials want law enforcement to do their job, or do we not? And when American law enforcement is allowed to do our job, we are very successful.
Yeah, I know that your expertise is dedicated towards helping law enforcement, especially in that effort to clamp down on trafficking. You've said the holiday season presents unique trafficking dangers. Tell us about that.
You know, people think that trafficking or crime just goes away from the holidays, and it's really not true. I mean, theft in cars increases around the holidays. Car theft increases around the holidays. Unfortunately, domestic violence increases around the holidays, and so does trafficking. I remember when I was still working as a state trooper, I was literally going out and doing surveillance on Thanksgiving and Christmas at illicit massage businesses, and we were still seeing sex buyers going in and purchasing people for sex all day, all night. Didn't matter if it was Thanksgiving or Christmas.
Yeah, it's just devastating. And so you've mentioned these massage parlors. What other locations and even sectors should we be watching for during the holidays in terms of trafficking?
Really, the easiest thing to look for in terms of trafficking is just look for prostitution. Some 90 to 93% of all prostitution, in other words, commercial sex that is taking place in the United States, is actually just trafficking. Those persons are under some third-party control. You just may not be able to see it super easily from where you are, but law enforcement has the skills to be able to do that. So if you just see what you believe to be prostitution and you reported that to law enforcement, that's the easiest thing for you to see.
Wow, okay. So what what signs should people watch for if they're not sure what kinds of things might look like that they can take note of?
So obviously, prostitution, as we just said, is an easy one. Another thing is big age discrepancies. You know, you might have an 18-year-old female who's with a 35 or 40-year-old male. That might be an indicator. Somebody who's not in control of their own identification, their own driver's license, their own passport, their own money. Somebody who is not in charge of their own money. Somebody that's not allowed to speak for themselves or to make decisions for themselves. So there's a host of things that we can be looking for.
And what do you teach law enforcement to really ramp up their ability to target this crime?
Well, most people think that law enforcement is trained in human trafficking, and that's not just the case. Only about 17% of law enforcement in America gets any human trafficking training whatsoever. So in other words, 83% of law enforcement is not trained in human trafficking. And people think that it's just like the small agencies, but it's not. It's really, really big agencies that are not trained in human trafficking either. So what we do is we provide the skills so that law enforcement can identify and then investigate human trafficking. So that way we can find victims and help them and give them the services they need. And we can put traffickers in prison where they belong.
Yeah, and how are children usually located and extracted when they're rescued, as we've seen in the operation in Memphis?
So children are extracted just like adults would be. Typically, they're either being labor trafficked or being sex trafficked, and we are looking for those indicators of either labor trafficking or sex trafficking so that we can identify who those juveniles would be and then be able to help them. In the last operation that we were involved with, which is in October, which was, I don't think, around 20 states and around 150 police agencies, we identified several juveniles, one of which was 14, and she was being forced to have sex with more than 10 men a day. She was only 14 years old.
Yeah, devastating. This is really important work. What changes, if any, would you advise in local, state, and federal efforts to restore law and order in areas hard hit with crime?
Well, the first thing that you have to do is, in terms of human trafficking, is to train your law enforcement in human trafficking, number one. As far as just crime in general, like what we're trying to do in Memphis and several other places, Washington, D.C., and several other places, and that is just let the police be the police. When elected officials let law enforcement do what they're supposed to do, we have the best law enforcement in the world by far, and we can go in and we can stop crime, and we can do it by, obeying everyone's rights and following the Constitution. We can do it with both of those things if elected officials would just let law enforcement do their job.
And hopefully getting more of those law enforcement officers and victims back home with their families, especially for Thanksgiving. Thank you so much for your time today, Dan Nash. Very good to speak with you.
Thank you, and happy Thanksgiving again.
Thank you. FBI Director Kash Patel sat down for an interview with the Epoch Times senior editor Jan Jekielek. He addressed rumors about his removal from office and the dismissal of an indictment against former FBI Director James Comey. Here's a quick preview of what he said.
It was pretty comical because the president and I were both discussing law enforcement operations across the country with our team, the Attorney General and other members of the department. And we were made aware that there was reporting that I was being terminated. And the president laughed and he said, "What are they talking about? Kash is doing a great job." In fact, he goes, "Kash, you want to take a photo in front of the Declaration of Independence and tell them how good of a job you're doing?" I said, "Sure thing, Mr. President." Obviously, everyone works at the pleasure of the president. I think we are executing the president's mission wildly successfully in a historic fashion. And I think when the media gets together with anonymous sources like they always do, and it gets louder and louder and louder, that just means our mission is the most effective it's ever been, and that's the only thing I care about.
The criminal case against Director Comey was recently dismissed. Mm-hmm. What is your reaction to that?
Well, because it's pending in terms of appellate status and what we are going to do for the next steps, the judicial process can make whatever determination it wants, but we, the FBI, and our partners at the DOJ have numerous options to proceed, and we're executing on all those options. Mm-hmm. So we're not done.
Any detail available?
I would say stay tuned for right after Thanksgiving, and you'll see multiple responses, in my opinion.
For the full interview with FBI Director Kash Patel, tune in to the latest episode of American Thought Leaders at 8 p.m. Eastern on Sunday here on NTD. Today, as Americans come together to celebrate Thanksgiving, the men and women of our nation's military remain in service, both at home and abroad.
This month, we're coming to you from Yokosuka, Japan, sharing a meal with some of our outstanding sailors who are standing watch far from home. While many Americans are gathering with their families around the table to celebrate the holidays, these men and women are serving forward, protecting our nation, strengthening our alliances, and keeping the seas safe. These holiday meals may look a little different, but the spirit is the same. It's the spirit of service, camaraderie, and of being part of something bigger than ourselves.
Vice President J.D. Vance, a Marine veteran himself, served meals to soldiers and Army families at Fort Campbell, located between the Kentucky-Tennessee border. Vance brought reinforcements. Second Lady Usha Vance and their children pitched in a helping hand as well. At Camp Casey in South Korea, U.S. Army soldiers celebrated with a nice meal. Soldiers at Camp Humphreys in South Korea also joined in the festivities. Camp Humphreys leaders joined together to serve Thanksgiving meals to the men and women in uniform. And Pope Leo sends a Thanksgiving message to Americans. He delivered the message on board the papal plane en route to Turkey. Take a listen.
To the Americans here, happy Thanksgiving. It's a wonderful day to celebrate, and I want to begin by saying thank you to each and every one of you for the service that you offer to the Vatican, to the Holy See, to my person, but to the whole world. It's so important today that the message be transmitted in a way that really reveals the truth and the harmony that the world needs.
Pope Leo arrived in Ankara early in the day on his first trip overseas. He laid a wreath on the grave of the founder of the Turkish Republic. He then went to the Turkish presidency to meet with President Tayyip Erdogan. The Pope will travel to Istanbul in the evening. And if you're planning to run errands on Thanksgiving, here's a look at what is and is not open today. Government offices, post offices, courts, and schools are all closed for the holiday. Banks and stock markets will also be closed today, reopening tomorrow for a shortened trading session. Standard FedEx and UPS services will pause for the day, though some critical deliveries will still operate at select locations. Most major retailers, including Walmart, Target, Macy's, Kohl's, and Costco, will stay closed today, but plan to open early tomorrow, Black Friday. CVS will close early today. You can call your local store or check store and pharmacy hours at the CVS Pharmacy website. Now on to the weather, where there's some bad news for travelers this Thanksgiving. Forecasters are warning a powerful storm system will blanket the northern plains and Great Lakes with heavy snow over the holiday. Winter storm warnings are in place from Minnesota to Michigan, with some areas expecting more than a foot of snow and blizzard conditions. The National Weather Service says the system is a deep and fairly intense cyclone. Lake effect snow is expected to intensify today, with communities downwind of the Great Lakes bracing for heavy accumulations through tomorrow. The storm threatens one of the busiest travel holiday weekends on record, as more than 80 million Americans were expected to hit the roads and skies for Thanksgiving. Here's more on the holiday weather.
Today, a winter storm system that hit Minnesota and North Dakota is wreaking havoc around the Great Lakes. Meteorologists say a winter cyclone is causing blizzard conditions in some areas. It's also creating a rare chance of thunder snow. The weather's affecting Thanksgiving travel in Michigan.
You know, you definitely have to pull into directions because that wind will take you right off into a ditch if you don't.
A first responder near Fargo says he's reminded of the need to drive safely after this sliding truck narrowly missed him this week.
Help us to get home safely to our families on there. So a lot of us are volunteers or first responders out there that are risking our lives to help others. So at least do us that courtesy, just slow down.
The National Weather Service says parts of Fargo got more than 5 inches of snow.
With that wind, it kind of piled up on the avenues. The streets are favoring a little better.
In Minnesota, officials say a 69-year-old man is dead after a snow-covered tree fell on him yesterday.
It actually did not snap off due to the weight. It actually uprooted from the ground while he was snowblowing.
Meanwhile, forecasters say a second storm system is in the Pacific Northwest and in many states.
It is going to feel bitter cold for a lot of areas, even all the way down to the Gulf Coast.
And the death toll from a massive fire at a residential complex in Hong Kong has risen to 83. What police say about the cause of one of the city's deadliest fires in decades. Meanwhile, Russian President Vladimir Putin says once Ukrainian troops withdraw from their positions in key areas, the fighting will stop. His warning regarding Russia's plan if Ukraine chooses not to withdraw. Those stories after this. Welcome back. Investigations are underway in Hong Kong after a fire killed at least 83 people at an apartment complex. The city's chief executive, John Lee, says they're zeroing in on the building maintenance company responsible for renovating the housing estate.
Police arrested 3 men around their 50s at midnight, who are the company executives in charge of the renovation at Wong Fuk Court. They are being detained at the moment. Police went to their office to collect evidence and conduct investigation.
2 directors and an engineering consultant of the company are suspected of manslaughter over the fire. The government identified the registered contractor for the complex as Prestige Construction and Engineering Company Limited. The company has remained silent. Lee said the government is inspecting renovations across Hong Kong involving bamboo scaffolding. The city's development bureau had also discussed gradually replacing bamboo scaffolding with metal scaffolding. The Hong Kong government would set up a $38 million US funded to help residents. Each affected family will get an emergency fund worth roughly $1,300 US. Here's more on the deadliest fire in Hong Kong in decades.
Firefighters continue to douse fires that engulfed the Wong Fuk Court apartment complex in Hong Kong on Thursday, over 24 hours since the blaze began. Nearly 300 people are still unaccounted for.
Actually, our major challenge is the temperature is very high in the fire ground, and the inside layout is very complex because the scaffolding is collapsed. And our firefighter need to conference the high temperature to proceed to the fire ground one layer by one layer.
Authorities earlier said that in addition to the buildings being covered with protective mesh sheets and plastic that did not meet fire standards, they discovered in one unaffected building that windows were sealed with foam material installed by a construction company carrying out maintenance work. Eileen Chung is a senior superintendent with the Hong Kong Police.
We do not rule out the possibility that these foam materials contributed to the rapid spread of the fire. We have reason to believe that the company's responsible parties were grossly negligent, which led to this accident and caused the fire to spread uncontrollably, resulting in major casualties.
The police have arrested 3 men from the construction firm on suspicion of manslaughter. Meantime, residents of the apartment complex are mourning the loss of their homes.
We bought this apartment more than 20 years ago. All of our belongings were in this apartment. And now that it is all burned like this, what's left? There's nothing left. What are we supposed to do? What we hope most is that the government will help us solve this problem. We don't have any other requests, just a hope that the government can help us resolve it.
Other residents are concerned about how authorities handled evacuations.
The firemen could have put out the smaller fire on our block and saved everyone inside first. My block is still on fire now. My daughter and my husband are still not out. The husband of my neighbor has already died.
Hong Kong is among the most densely populated places in the world and also among the world's most expensive housing markets. Wong Fuk Court is one of many high-rise housing complexes under the government-subsidized home ownership scheme. It has 2,000 apartments in 8 blocks that are home to more than 4,600 people, in a city struggling with a chronic shortage of affordable housing.
I'm Stephanie Cox, and this is World Watch. Russian President Vladimir Putin says once Ukrainian troops withdraw from their positions in key areas, the fighting will stop. But that if they don't, then Russian forces will achieve their objectives by force. The Russian president also commented on the latest peace plan drafted by the U.S. Putin says the outlines of the plan could become the basis of future agreements to end the conflict in Ukraine. According to the Russian president, the U.S. is taking into account Russia's position on the conflict. Putin also says that U.S. and Russian officials discussed a possible prisoners of war swap during a recent meeting. Kyiv recently agreed, saying it was open to swap more prisoners of war with Moscow. And a Russian military court is sentencing 8 men to life in prison. The court concluded that the men played a role in a deadly Ukrainian attack on a bridge connecting Russia to the Crimean Peninsula. The 8 men were convicted on terrorism charges. They're accused of being part of an organized group which helped Ukraine set up the bombing. The attack took place in October of 2022. Ukraine's SBU domestic intelligence agency claimed responsibility for the blast. It killed 5 people and damaged what was a key supply route for Russian forces fighting in Ukraine. French President Emmanuel Macron today announced the creation of a new voluntary youth military service to begin mid-2026. Macron says the move will help France respond to accelerating threats on the global stage.
In this world that is uncertain where force rules over law, war is a present-day reality. Our nation could not afford fear, panic, lack of preparedness, or division. And fear never prevents danger. The only way to avoid it is to prepare for it.
The move is part of a broader shift across Europe. Macron said the voluntary program will be open to 18 and 19-year-olds who would be paid. It would last 10 months, and the cost will be about $1.25 billion. The plan is for 3,000 people in 2026 who will only serve on French soil. That number will rise to 10,000 by 2030 and 50,000 youth by 2035. Macron says the number will be adjusted based on the evolution of threats. The announcement brings France in line with nearly a dozen other European nations like Germany and Denmark that have launched similar projects. A U.S.-Russian crew of 3 launched today to the International Space Station. A Soyuz booster rocket lifted off as scheduled from a launch facility in Kazakhstan that is leased by Russia. They docked at the station about 3 hours after liftoff. NASA said astronaut Chris Williams will conduct scientific research aimed at advancing human space exploration and benefiting life on Earth. They expect to spend about 8 months at the orbiting outpost. For 2 crew members, it's their first flight to space. And the president of the Dominican Republic is permitting the United States temporary access to an airbase and airport for refueling aircraft and moving equipment. The move comes as Washington continues to expand its fight against drug trafficking in the Caribbean.
The President of the United States, President Trump, has designated these as foreign terrorist organizations, designated terrorist organizations, narco traffickers, hell-bent on bringing violence and drugs to countries in the region and to the American people. And I want those watching who see the narco-terrorist drug boats blowing up to understand that we're deadly serious about this mission. But we're also deadly serious in the way that we undertake it. We have the best intelligence, the best lawyers, the best process, so that we know inside these networks and these organizations where they're leaving from, where they're going, what they're bringing, what their intentions are, and who they represent.
The deal represents the first notable pact with a Caribbean nation as the U.S. steps up operations against drug smuggling boats from Venezuela. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth vowed to respect Dominican sovereignty and laws. He also said the United States will deploy additional troops and aircraft to combat drug trafficking. Hegseth said he hopes to expand on the Dominican model with other countries. The The president of the Dominican Republic says there's been an almost tenfold rise in annual drug seizures in the past 5 years. He attributes that to collaboration with the U.S. Coming up, while eating turkey has become a mainstay on Thanksgiving, so has watching football. NTD's Dave Martin joins us with a rundown of today's games when we return. Welcome back. And now for your sports news, we are joined by NTD's Dave Martin. Dave, happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Steph.
It's so good to have you on today, especially because Thanksgiving is so much about football as much as it is about friends, family, and giving thanks. What's going on with football today?
Well, as usual, the NFL is going to give us a triple header of games, so I know you're going to be excited about these. 3 good games. I'm not just trying to hype these up. They are actually good games here. All right, Steph. All right. 1 p.m. Eastern time is the first one, so just a few minutes away. Detroit Lions will host the Green Bay Packers. Now, both teams have very good records here. Both, though, trail Chicago in the division, surprisingly. So if the playoffs started today, the Lions would be the first team out. While the Packers would be the next to last team in. So a very important game here for playoff positioning. Then, 4:30 Eastern time. All right, we got a second big one here. Dallas Cowboys host the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, both teams would be out if the playoffs started today, despite all their talent. But both teams have been playing better of late. Cowboys have won 2 straight games since upgrading their defense at the trade deadline. Chiefs, meanwhile, they've won 4 of their last 6 games. Then, in the evening game, 8:30 Eastern time here, Ravens versus the Bengals. Now, Baltimore has won 5 straight games. 4 of those since quarterback Lamar Jackson came back from an injury. Now the 3-8 Bengals, meanwhile, they are hoping for the same. They get quarterback Joe Burrow back tonight from an injury. Now they started off 2-0 with him at quarterback. He got injured all the way back on September 14. They've won just 1 game since then. So that game starts at 8:30 Eastern time.
Oh, that does sound like a pretty eventful lineup, but all with enough space in between them to have fit in some feasting.
Yes.
Time with people.
So
it's designed that way.
I guess you're planning to do that.
I'll be doing that. Well, no, I can't really say that I'll be doing that, but I'll be watching for your updates, Dave.
You'll be happy to see me doing that.
Indeed.
Okay,
Yes,
gotcha.
yes,
I appreciate that.
Now, just on that point, though, does it seem like the Cowboys and the Lions are playing off each other like every Thanksgiving?
That is true, Steph. Very good, very good. I'm glad you actually realized that. Not every NFL fan gets that, all right? Now, the Lions started this tradition of playing on Thanksgiving back in 1934 as a way to attract more fans. It was kind of risky at the time. It obviously worked. I mean, the game was a sellout for the first time in team history. They've hosted a Thanksgiving game every year since, except for 1945. Don't ask me why, but I'll have to figure that one out. I haven't figured out what happened 80 years ago.
We'll do our research.
Yeah, okay. But Dallas started playing Thanksgiving Day games on 1966. The first one they did set an attendance record. More than 80,000 fans showed up. Now, they've done it every year since, except for 1975 and 1977. In those 2 years, the NFL gave it to the St. Louis Cardinals as a way to try to help them. Apparently, it did not work out, so they went back to Dallas then at the time, and it's been a success ever since. Cowboys have a 34-22-1 record on Thanksgiving. Lions, not as good, 38-45-2. Now, the NFL didn't start having a 3rd game on Thanksgiving until 2006, but this game does not have a fixed host or team. It's just kind of a round robin, you could say. Let some of the other teams, finally host a game there on Thanksgiving.
Why not? Still quite the tradition.
It's a very popular American tradition,
Indeed. Okay, well, let's turn to baseball. The Toronto Blue Jays have agreed to a 7-year deal with free agent pitcher Dylan Cease. It's worth more than $200 million, and according to multiple reports. What do you make of that?
Well, I like it. I'm not going to say no to that. Of course, he's a great pitcher. He's only 30 years old, so it's not too bad. I mean, if it was like a 15-year deal and you're 30 years old, that's a lot to do. But it really makes Toronto's starting pitching staff look like quite a strength. Now, it's not like this was really a weakness before. I mean, Toronto came, this close to winning the World Series just a few weeks ago. But if you look at what they have coming back on the rotation, you've got 21-year-old Trey Savage, who was the youngest pitcher ever to start in Game 1 of the World Series. He looks like a future All-Star. Plus, former Cy Young winner Shane Bieber, he's opted into his $16 million player option for next season. Now, Bieber's missed most of the last 2 years with that Tommy John surgery, but he looked very good when he came back late in the season, especially there in the playoffs. Now, back to Dylan Cease, meanwhile. He's finished 2nd and 4th in the Cy Young voting over the past 4 years. His biggest strength is his durability. He's made at least 32 starts in 5 straight seasons. That's very rare for a pitcher these days, so it's very valuable to teams. So the deal, like you said, is a reported 7-year deal worth $210 million. Now, neither the team nor the player has actually confirmed that yet, but, the player usually has to undergo a physical, and they got to dot the I's and cross the T's in the contract before they'll actually introduce.
Takes a little while.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thanks for all of these key updates on this day of watching football and feasting.
Well, you are very welcome, Steph.
And I know you've got plenty of that to do today.
I've got a lot of sports watching ahead. It's going to be exhausting.
We better let you go. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
And next up, as the holiday season gets underway across North America, Canada's longest-running Santa Claus Parade just celebrated its 73rd edition. In downtown Montreal, about 1,500 performers took part in this year's event, bringing music, floats, and festive cheer to the streets. Let's take a look.
Colorful Christmas floats, dancing elves, and lively cartoon characters filled the streets, dancing to upbeat music and cheerful energy that kept spectators captivated. One of this year's highlights was world boxing champion Kim Clavel, who appeared as the parade's Starlight Fairy, drawing cheers from the crowd.
So this is the 3rd year that I come to see it, and it's really fun. It's really like it feels like a dream. Like you have princess, and then you have a little kid that dance around and everything. It's really cute, really fun.
It's great to see all the families and all the little kids enjoying the Christmas parade for sure.
It was a nice program. They loved the experience. We take lots of videos and photos, and I wish everybody Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
The audience was deeply impressed by the organized procession, musical percussion, and the grandeur of the Tianguo marching band.
Found that was a practice of truth, compassion, and forbearance, and when all those 3 things are in your daily life, you can feel how they amplify all the best parts of you. And it's a great opportunity to participate and send our message to the audience here.
Oui, c'était vraiment une synchronisation parfaite. C'était vraiment très joli à voir.
Yeah, I filmed that. It was really impressive. Like, I think it was the most impressed. I was impressed. Really, they were really synchronized. The costumes were really pretty. It was really, really good. Like, I hope I see them next year if I'm still in Montreal.
I've been in the Tianguo band for over 20 years now, and we travel to parades around the whole country and actually Canada too. And this is one of our favorite parades. The energy at this parade is great. Everybody's extremely friendly, very excited to be here.
Then how the reindeer loved him. Santa Claus arrived on a reindeer-themed float, drawing cheers as the colorful parade brought together people of all backgrounds, sharing joy, celebration, and holiday blessings. NTD News, Canada.
And that's all we have time for this hour. But if you have any feedback on the show or have something you'd like to see us cover, send us an email at news.today@ntd.com. We'd love to hear from you. We'll cover more news right after this break.